Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Leader Tree, where leadership grows, where strong roots build stronger skills, and where tonight we're talking about frustration. Frustration! Oh, it's frustrating, isn't it? There's a lot to things when you're frustrated. They slow you down, they take extra time. There's so much that goes into this problem for a young leader or even a established older leader, right? When you're frustrated, it seems like nothing's going right. And then you do what? You make mistakes, right? Because the more you try to climb out of some sort of hole that's holding you back, the more risk you take. And when you take those risks, sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't, right? So you end up making more mistakes because you're being more frantic. You're not sitting there thinking them through like you normally would. And then what happens, right? When you're making those mistakes, then you have more things frustrating you that you got to climb back out of, right? And it's a vicious cycle, isn't it? It's a vicious cycle that it can creep up and ruin your whole day. If you have something that starts off wrong at the beginning of your day, it's like your whole day can quickly go wrong, right? Because that frustration just keeps building and building and building, and the more you try to climb out of it, the harder it gets. So as a leader, what do you do when you're dealing with these frustrations? What do you do? How do you overcome them? How do you get back on track? That's what we're here to discuss tonight. So, one of the things that I would tell you right out of the gate is the first thing you need to do is take a break. Slow down, right? When you're frustrated, you don't want to do that. I get it. You're in that mode, right? You're in that momentum. And you're like, I am going to sit here until I get this right. And you ain't stopping for nothing, right? But you need to. Because you got to put your mind in a different position. You got to put your brain in a different space. Because you're frustrated. And that frustration clouds your judgment. It really does. I'll give you an example. Recently, I had a situation where I was trying to close a particular deal, and it was a larger deal. But the client that I was working with wasn't listening to me and making a lot of extra work for me because of the fact that they weren't listening, right? I'm telling them word for word what they need to do. I'm like, okay, all you got to do is this, and I will do the rest. If you do these two things and get them to me, I will assemble everything, I will put it all together, and I will make sure that this is done properly. Okay? But I couldn't get them to do that. All they wanted to do was keep sending me junk I didn't need, right? And it was frustrating. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my income you guys are messing with here because I don't get paid until I close this deal for you, right? So I want to make sure I'm getting paid, and I want to make sure that I am living up to what I've already told them. I've set expectations for what I'm going to do for this client. And I can't live up to the expectations that I set if I can't get these cats to play ball and go the right direction, right? So it was frustrating, and it was starting to affect me, and I was like, oh my gosh, what I started writing an email that I didn't like, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take a minute. I am just going to take a minute. I'm going to clear my head before I go and just tell these guys what for, right? It's like, I've already told you what I need from you. Why are you not giving it to me? But that's not a good tone to put in your communication with your client, right? So I took my own advice, and I took the rest of the afternoon off. I just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go. So I call up my fiance, and we went out. We went out. We had a nice lunch, and we did a little shopping, and we did some things, and boy, I tell you what, I was motivated to get that deal closed more than ever by the time we were done, because she's a shopper. But there are things that you can do in order to relax. You got to change your mind. You got to get your head in the game, in a different game, right? So that's what we did. And when I came back to it, now I was in a different headspace. I wasn't frustrated anymore. Yeah, I knew I still had to deal with this problem. So I wrote an email, but now my email was much more relaxed. Now my email was much more understanding and able to lead them down the path I wanted them to get to. Because the frustration that was along with it was out of the way, right? I was in a different headspace. And that's what I would tell you is the first thing to do. And I finally got them to understand why sending me all that other stuff wasn't important to me. It's like, okay, these things are nice, but they don't help us accomplish the purpose. And all we need to do right now is give this bank exactly what they need and nothing more. Because when you give extra things to, this is good advice for anybody, okay? When you're looking to get money from a bank, right, in any capacity whatsoever, any capacity, I don't care if you're going to the teller and you're saying, can I take $500 out of my own bank account that I have here at this bank? If you give more information than they need or want, they're going to get suspicious and start digging into you. And inevitably, in any business, if somebody digs, usually there's something that they can find a fault with in a business. Because business has a lot of moving parts, right? A lot of moving parts. Things go right, things go wrong. You overcome the things that went wrong, but they're still there. So when people look into your history, they say, well, what about this? You know what I mean? Now you got explanations to make, and it becomes its own frustration, right? So you don't want to give them more information what they need. You don't want to give them the wrong information. You want to give them exactly what's necessary to get you approvals, right? To get you approved for what you're looking for. Don't get creative thinking that you're going to wow them. You're not going to wow them. You're just going to make them go, maybe I should look into this a little bit more, right? Like if you're going to the teller and you're saying, I need to get money from my bank account, right? Here's my ID. Okay, maybe your bank card today, right? But if you pop out your social security card or a passport on top of that, now you're suspicious. Now they're wondering, why would he do that? Right? And now they're going to start checking databases to see if you're on one. I'm just throwing those things out there. But anyway, so that's what you do. You want to get yourself in a new headspace when you're frustrated. Take your time. Don't react rashly, because when you do what? You make mistakes. All right. Hey, listen, folks, this has been an awesome discussion, and we're going to continue it in just a minute. But I want to take a brief second here to acknowledge that I have a neat little solution for anybody who needs a job. And as you know, the name of my company is Atlas Business Consulting, and that's what we do. We're consultants, and we work with businesses throughout the United States, usually to get the money, but we do other things as well. We help them build their credit and stuff like that. But one of the best things to do is to become a factoring business broker, because that's where the majority of our money is made in this industry. So as a factoring business broker, if you've never considered it or if you've never heard of it before, what we do is invoice financing. So you take your client who is a business out there in the country who is doing business to business sales, meaning they're selling to other businesses, like maybe they're selling to retail stores or whatever, and that's how you get those products on the shelves, right? When they do that, they're going to give them the product up front and then going to invoice them for payment. And that payment can take 30, 90, even 120 days, sometimes longer, before it comes back to that company who's got that product out there, right? They haven't gotten paid on it, but they had to create it. They had to do all those things. It creates a strain on a company's cash flow. And so what they do is they need to get set up with a bank to finance those invoices so that the bank will pay them up front for them so they can keep operating. That's what we do as factoring business brokers. We bridge those gaps and we find them the right banking connection to do that. It's a fun job. It's a lot of fun, and it is very lucrative. Okay? Very lucrative job. If you're interested in learning about it, I have a training school at factorcareers.com. That's FACTORCAREERS. Factorcareers.com. All right? And go check it out. There's some videos up there that'll explain it, and see if that might be something you're into. Because it's a work-from-home gig. It's a lot of fun. And we make more money than your average person in America makes. Okay? Am I going to tell you, look, this is going to get you rich in the next 12 months? Probably not. But if you're looking to make, somewhere around between 60 and 100,000 bucks a year, your first year, maybe your first couple of years, that's a good income. After that, you're going to get so good at it, you'll be up to where I'm doing, or you'll be making, $200,000-$300,000 a year, and maybe even more depending on how industrious you are, right? You get a team out there, etc., etc. Anyway, so go check it out at factorcareers.com if that sounds like something you might want to find out more about. And I would look forward to chatting with you as well. Feel free to set an appointment with me at Factor Careers as well. And I'll tell you all about how a career in the finance industry might be right for you. All right, hey, let's continue on with our discussion about frustrations. Because frustrations can ruin your day. They can ruin your week. They can ruin your month. More importantly, they can ruin your quarter, right? If you don't get a handle on frustrations. Another thing that frustrates the heck out of people is when they do too much, right? And if you're a young entrepreneur and you're out there and you're hustling and you're trying to make a business work and you're doing everything yourself, first of all, here's what I'm going to tell you. It's frustrating, isn't it? It's frustrating. Why is it frustrating? Because you're doing everything yourself, man. When you do everything yourself, you're taking on a lot of responsibility. Plus, you've got a life to live, right? So, look, my first year, I've only had this business now for a few years. But my first year, I didn't take a minute for myself. I was busting my tail maybe, 17 hours a day on the average. 6 days a week at least. Sometimes a full 7 days. Quite often, actually. I was go, go, go. I was like, go, go, gadget business, right? So, as you get to the point where money is coming in, things are getting better, you got clients, you got customers, you got all this stuff is happening, right? Things you can start to automate become more clear, so you start to automate them, and you can try to take a step back here and there, and now maybe you can enjoy a little bit of your life. Maybe you get a 20% life balance in there, so you got 80% work, 20% life all of a sudden. Then things have been a little bit more relaxed, but in the beginning, you're in frustration central, right? Here's what I would tell you. A great way to limit those frustrations are to understand your strengths and weaknesses. Have you ever heard of something called a SWOT analysis? SWOT analysis. If you don't know it, look it up. So, it is amazing and can be very helpful to you in any business that you're in. So you want to look for a SWOT. That's SWOT. Okay? Stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your business. Okay? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. This is the SWOT analysis. And it will put you under the microscope. Okay? And if you do this in the things that you're working on, you're going to find where you need to be putting your time and energy. And where you need to avoid. And we're going to start with the strengths. What is it that you're good at? What is it that you know? Well, one of those things is obviously going to be whatever your business is, right? If you're in business to do something, you're good at it. And that's why you started your own company to do it, right? But maybe your weaknesses are paperwork. Maybe you hate paperwork. You know what I mean? So write that down. Maybe you're not good at finances, right? And keeping the books. Write that down under weaknesses. And then what you do is you look at everything and you say, okay, here's what I'm good at. I'm going to focus my energies here. Here's what I'm not good at. I don't want to waste my time trying to get good at this. Right? I don't want to waste my time working at getting good at what I am not good at. Okay? So I'm going to hire somebody else to do that. I can hire that out at maybe Fiverr or Upwork or something like that. Right? I can outsource it. Or maybe I can set it up to be automated in certain places. Like, I'm not good, for example, of keeping up with advertising campaigns. I really am not. I know I got to do it to bring in business, but once I got business coming in, I put that to the back burner and I focus on work. And then I'll go out there and look for more work. That's how I do things. And it has limited my income. It has limited my business's growth. Because it slows me down. Right? And so what I'm doing is I'm hiring somebody to manage that for me. Why? Because I've tried to manage it on my own for the last 3 years. And I found a pattern that I only do it in between. That's not a good system. Right? So the opportunity was there, so SWO, opportunity. The opportunity was there to grow more consistently by outsourcing that. Even though I know how to do it, all I got to do is say, here's what I need you to do. I need you to do it on a regular schedule. Right? And then I'll pay them to do it. Right? So it's simple. That's just one of the things that you look at. Right? So other opportunities might be, what opportunities do you have coming up that you can get involved with, right? Maybe, for example, you're in the cement business and a friend of yours has just invented a product that prints out sidewalks like a conveyor belt, boom, you know? And it, puts the lines where it needs to be, the lines for the separation, so that everything stays and doesn't crack. And it does everything for you. Just one machine goes down the road, and he needs a cement guy, and you're the cement guy he needs, and you work that deal. That's an opportunity, right? But maybe you have a threat out there, which is your competition, right? Or a new guy is in the mix who says, you know what, I know how to get the cement for half the price, Or maybe your guy wants to do the cement himself, and he's looking to get into the cement business because now he's got a machine that can do the sidewalks, and he knows that he can go out there into pretty much any community and get in there with their city manager and say, I would like to do this for you, and I can cut your cost of having to do it, and your manpower of having to do it, and blah, 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 blah. And now a bunch of people are out here thinking, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. Maybe I should create a machine like that and go into the cement business myself. But that's just an opportunity, right? So you know what your strengths are? My strengths are coming up with ideas on the fly. That's one of them. All right. My weaknesses are I don't set myself up with enough time to structure my advertisements. I know that for myself. I've got other weaknesses in the mix too, but that's one that I know that I have a frequency of doing because I've noticed it over the past 3 years. I have noticed that pattern is I will do my advertisements. I will then do my job, and then I will do my advertisements when that job is coming to a close before the next one starts. If I'm doing my advertisements more steadily as it goes, I'm going to have more growth. And I don't have that more growth because I'm holding myself back. That's why it's a weakness. And it's also the opportunity. It's in both columns in my case, right? Now, and then threats are competition. Threats are things that are really, really in your way, right? Like maybe I have an innovation, right? But there's a competing patent out there. Or somebody's trying to steal my patent. That's a threat, right? So things like that. You want to go through the SWOT analysis and it will map out. This is basically a little snapshot of your business as it is. That's what it is. It's a snapshot of your business. Your strength, your weakness, your opportunity, your threat. Okay? When you have this information, it's going to slow you down and focus your energies. When you're able to focus your energies, your frustrations are going to melt away. You're going to find out where you need to focus your time and where you need to avoid focusing your time because it just slows you down. And that is an obstacle to your growth. Slowing you down because you need to learn how to do something is not just a weakness, my friends. That is a straight up threat to your business. Because in business, 97% of all businesses fail. 97% of them. Okay? Most of those are because the owner can't get out of their way. They focus on the things they're not good at, and it takes too long. Then they run out of money, and they're gone. Okay? So you have to have a very good business to survive that if you're going to do those kind of things. And they're going to be frustrating. And they're going to annoy you. And they're going to annoy everyone around you. Why? Because you're not going to be happy. And you're going to portray that to everybody. Right? If you ever had a bad boss, say to yourself, yeah, that's me. Right? Dudes that are unhappy, they project that unhappiness on everything around them. Right? These are the guys that go around and they're slamming things down on desks and they're kicking gas pumps because it's going too slow for them. And they're doing all these frustrating things and they're annoying and you just can't get away from them quick enough. Right? And if you're one of those guys, don't take offense to what I'm saying here. Okay? If that sounds like you, don't take offense to it. Understand that it stems from these frustrations. It stems from these frustrations and the fact that you haven't gotten out of them. Right? They can eat away at your soul, man. They can eat away at you. When you're frustrated, it changes you. It makes you unpleasant to everyone around you. It makes you unpleasant to yourself. So you gotta pull out of it. The SWOT analysis helps you to locate where to spend your time, where to avoid, where to help find opportunities to move things to someone else, right? Does it cost a little money to farm it out? Sure it does. But does it bring more money in? Well, you'll find that out when you do your cost analysis, right? You'll find that out. Always know your numbers, folks. Always know your numbers or you're not in business anyway, okay? You got to know what your costs are. You got to know what your profit margins are. I had a client once who, well, he wasn't a client, but he was a prospective client who called me up because somebody had recommended me. He wanted me to help him get financing for some equipment. I said, okay, how much is the equipment? He's all like, it's $1 million for this piece of equipment that he needs. I said, okay, what are your receipts? You know, what are your revenues? He's like, oh, I got great revenues. I got like, $20 million a year that we're doing. I said, great. But his profit margin was 4%. 4% is all he made in profit. Now, that's a good amount of money, 4% of $20 million, right? But it scared the banks because they're like, man, if you take any hit at all, we're not getting our investment back at $1 million investment, right? So nobody wanted to do that deal. And I tried to tell him, I said, look, you're creating your own problem here. I said, first off, what you need to be doing is hiring me to show you how to bring your costs down because you're 4% is not a winning margin. You know what I mean? You're barely growing if you grow at all. He said, oh, well, we're not really growing. I said, of course you're not. You know what I mean? But we can help you with that. Anyway, I think in the long run, I ended up ticking him off, but he didn't sign with me. He just thought that I was trying to tell him that he wasn't doing a good job, and that's not what I was trying to tell him. I was just trying to tell him, we need to fix this if you want me to help you get this, because I can't get this done with 4% profit margin, right? So you got to know what your numbers are. He didn't even know what his numbers are. We had to do the math to find it out, and that's the problem. When you don't know what your profit margin is, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. He was in a good industry. So that's why he had so much money coming in. But he didn't know what he was doing, which is why he had so much money going out, that he wasn't making any money. You know what I mean? If you own an oil pipeline that is supplying half the country and you're driving to work in a Chevy Nova, something's wrong there. You know what I'm saying? That's not what this guy's situation was. I'm just making an what's the term I'm looking for? I don't know, a joke. Yeah, I'm making a joke. Anyway, so that's all we have for the day. I have had a great time tonight talking to you cats, and it has been a blast being on this show and having people follow along with the Leader Tree. If you are new to the Leader Tree and you want to find out more about us, visit us at theleadertree.com and check us out. All of our previous episodes are up there. We have interviews. We have other things that are up there for you. Sign up for the mailing list. It'll be a lot of fun. When we have new updates and stuff, that'll go out to you, and you'll have a lot of interesting things to talk about with your friends and family. Also, you can join us at our Facebook group. I highly encourage you to join us at the Facebook group. We have great discussions that go on there all the time. And that is just when you go to Facebook and you go to groups, look for the Leader Tree. It's simple. The Leader Tree Network. And we would look forward to having you, and we would love to have you there and join us in the discussions. Folks, it's been fun. And until next time, next week on Tuesday night at 6 p.m., we are out here on TW3 Radio every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. But until then, until I talk to you again, my name is Chris Miller. I am your host. And I wish you all a very good evening. And this is me signing off and reminding you to always keep smiling. Bye-bye.